Good afternoon from South Bend. I'm here in the studio on Tut Street. It is a chilly winter day, but snow is pouring down outside. There's a train stopped on the tracks. So it's a good day in South Bend. I haven't put anything here on YouTube in quite some time. And so if you're new, my name is Jacob. I'm a photographer and I live here in South Bend, Indiana. I became a photographer about 7 years ago when I moved back here after college, and I started exploring a lot of abandoned and rundown industrial properties here in town, old factories, and I got a camera as a way of just documenting that and sharing what I was finding with people here in town. So I started a blog and would publish photo stories of photos of buildings or of small businesses or just street scenes. And over time that grew, and I was lucky enough to make doing creative work my job. And so today, how I make money is having this creative studio, doing graphic design and websites and writing and video production. But photography has remained my sort of artistic love. I love to keep a camera on me and go for a lot of walks. Last year, I was lucky enough to publish my first photo book called Life in South Bend. It's a pretty simple book, but it's just a bunch of pictures from the last 6 years of photography here in town, designed with the help of my friend Kath here in the studio. And a few years before that, I was lucky to take the cover photo for Mayor Pete's first book, Shortest Way Home. We shot that here in South Bend. And but despite being able to make this my career and being a photographer for relatively a while in my young life here, I really have not had any sense of the history of the art or any of the theory behind the art, because I just picked it up on my own as a hobby, didn't go to school for it, and I think for a long time didn't quite see why I needed to immerse myself in the history and theory, which, given the sort of subject of a lot of my photography, is a bit of a funny disconnect. A lot of my photography here in South Bend is about our past and history, and sort of trying to integrate an understanding of our history with what we're doing here in South Bend today. And so I think it would be only natural to sort of extend that sensibility to how I would think about my practice of photography. What has really sort of turned the light switch on for me is this book, On Photographs by David Campany. It's a really wonderful book, really approachable, and he just goes photo by photo through the history of photography. So each spread looks like this. On the right side, there's a photo, and on the left side, some commentary on the photo. And the commentary is really fascinating. It's some of it's specifically about the photograph, maybe the composition or the lighting or something like that. It's also about the photographer. Sort of you get a little intro into their career and sort of what they were about. Which for me, I mean, I think a lot of people would maybe read this and recognize a lot of the names. I do not. I don't recognize almost any of the names. And so it's all new to me. But it's also, he also was writing about the time and the place, sort of how this photograph maybe fits into a lineage, if that photographer was influenced by other photographers. And so because of that, he's referencing a bunch of other works in there. And so as I've been reading through this, I've just been Googling and looking on eBay for these other photo books or other commentary books that he's referencing when talking about these photographs, and starting to realize that there's just this wealth of thinking about photography and just like work out there that I want to immerse myself in and want to understand sort of what I'm doing in a context of how it's developed and how it's been done before me. And so I'm here on YouTube to sort of document the process of me learning. I sort of think of this as like a DIY syllabus. So I've gone online and found some of these things will be photo books that I just have naturally picked up over time. One of my favorites here is this Greg Girard, Under Vancouver. I've followed Greg on Instagram for a long time and just fascinated by his work. A newer one that I just got recently is Walker Evans' American Photographs, and I think that probably came from something that David wrote about in here. But I'm also looking at sort of books that aren't photo books. They're writings about photography. And so to find these, I just pulled up a syllabus from a history of photography course at NYU. And so we have Ways of Seeing, Camera Lucida, Regarding the Pain of Others, and On Photography. And so what I'm thinking is that maybe every week I'm gonna show up here with a short video where I just sort of talk about what I'm in the middle of reading, maybe what photo books I'm flipping through, and maybe I'll share a couple of specific photos that have stuck out to me, and maybe share a couple of photographs from my own work in the week as I'm out walking around town here. And then every once in a while, on a less frequent, when I finish a book, I'll show up with a longer video, sort of going through the book in full and sort of what I've learned, how it's been working on me, and we'll learn together. So I think for me, it's a way of adding a little bit of structure to my own learning, and hopefully it can be helpful to you along the way.